Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So my name is Samantha. I own a 2-acre farmstead located in Southeast Louisiana, and I tell the truth. And by doing so, I woke up this morning and realized YouTube was no longer going to pay me for my content again. They're always looking for a reason, folks, but I've told you guys this before. They don't pay me enough to begin with, and it's not going to shut me up. I won't have any large corporation try to muzzle me. This is America, and I'm going to keep speaking my truth and leading people out of the darkness. I hope and pray that you join along with us on this journey. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, drop over in comments, tell me who you are, where are you watching from? Because see, I woke up this morning and my income disappeared overnight, right? We had already made for the month of February over $3,000 on our YouTube channel. It's all gone because YouTube had an issue with the short that I did. Now, that's okay in the private world, right? But federal employees that were offered an 8-month buyout are whining all over social media that they've lost their jobs. Now, they were offered 8 months paid leave. YouTube didn't even give me a warning, didn't even say, hey, don't make content like this. This isn't what we like. Just, we're going to take your money away. Just like that. That's okay for you and I who live in the real world, but federal employees want to, be babied. They want to be able to stay in their PJs, in their homes, remote work where they don't have to pay for daycare, have the best insurance ever. Because, guys, I worked for the state of Louisiana for years. And let me explain to you, they are not on Obamacare. Your government officials, your federal employees don't have the same insurance that was shoved down all of America's throats. So if you'd like to support our channel, when I get off of this live, I will link in at the top of comments in different ways. If you want to send $1, we would appreciate it. Most of you know that my oldest son is going overseas for a year and he deploys in April. Thank God they did not pull my money until the middle of the night. They had just paid me for January when they decided to demonetize me, and every penny we made last month will go to move our son from Tampa to Louisiana with all of his belongings and then get him on his flight to go serve his country for a year overseas. So God is good all the time. Remember, Satan's always looking to kill, steal, and destroy. So what's going on in the federal world today? I had to sit through this young lady, and I'm going to let you sit through it because there's something in here that we really need to talk about.
I was a recent federal employee that was terminated due to the restructuring and cutting of federal funds. I was a USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service employee, or NRCS. I specialized in natural resource conservation and helping producers deal with issues that involved soil, water, and air quality, as well as erosion and access to fresh water and correct forage for their livestock. We helped farmers. My agency helps farmers all over the country. And
do they?
We go into their property, assess the area, and see if there's anything that we can help them with, whether it's, a no-till situation. If it's, spraying for herbicides, if it's, an erosion sinkhole that's going to cause your cow to fall in and potentially lose a calf, or, it's eating away at your field and you want to put a drain pipe in. We go in, we help the producer, we make up a contract, and then we help assist the producer, not only make sure that it's input correctly so that way they don't have this issue anymore, but we financially assist them. We reimburse them a percentage or cost amount that they sign for so that the burden does not fall just on the American producer. This goes for anything large scale, your soybeans, your corn, your cotton, your wheat, or your large cattle operations, your dairy and beef. In Mississippi, which is the state that I currently work in, we do a lot.
Let's pause her right there. How many times did you hear her say large operations? Twice. Your large cattle operations, your large cotton, soybean, wheat operations. I am a big I've written a lot of grants. Let me just put it to you that way, because I like to stay out of debt. And I was very involved with the USDA and RCS when I began my journey as a market garden farmstead homesteader. And because I was told that funding was for everyone, not just the large corporation or large mega farms that are like 10,000 acres. So I have been in contract with the USDA and RCS. Let me explain to you how this works in case you're curious. That contract they write, funding doesn't come available for whatever you're asking for. So, say you have a sinkhole. Let's use her example. You have a sinkhole in your field. You want to put a drainage there to protect your cattle. You're looking at 18 to 24 months before funding comes available to help you with that issue. 2 years. 2 years. You have to deal with the sinkhole in the middle of your farm. Second thing, they will reimburse you, but only if you wait until the contract is approved to start the work. So if the contract takes 18 months to 24 months to be approved and funding be available, you can't do any work on that issue until they approve it and release funds. So you tell me, how is the USDA NRCS such an amazing program and is so amazing for farmers? Like, this young lady makes it sound like you won't be able to no-till or sustainable farm without her. I have an entire playlist. No-till won't cost you a penny, and I won't get paid if you watch it, but you can go learn how to no-till for free on my channel. And the USDA didn't pay me. So as I was going through, listening to all these people explain why their jobs were so important, I was shocked.
Videos today of federal employees that have been let go, fired, whatever you want to call it, and Lord, the sob stories that I've heard. And you know, I do feel sorry for some of them. Some of them have, you know, children and situations.
So do I.
I do feel sorry for some of them. But if you go back and look through their TikTok, you know why they got let go. You do not fire or lay off people that you need. It doesn't happen. Some of them are even making TikTok videos at work. So that tells you that they're not very important at work. The government is full of it. Believe me, I worked for the government for 23 years, and we had a few of them that were just filling positions. So I understand that it's bad losing a job, but if this country is going to survive, we are going to have to make cuts because the federal government is just too big.
Okay, so he's right. Not only is the federal government too big, folks, it's the number one growing industry, and I've told y'all that. There's a problem when the federal government is the biggest employer of American citizens. Hey guys, how are y'all? Thank you so much, Eddie and Gina. Y'all been amazing this morning. So I'm going to let you listen to this woman describe her job for the USDA, and you tell me if this is worth $50,000+ a year.
Hi, I am a probationary federal employee. Well, I was. Last week, I was fired along with about 1,200 others in my agency. The email said that based on my performance, the agency couldn't show that I demonstrated that keeping me in my role was in the public interest. In my role as public affairs specialist for the state I live in, I was the person who sent out press releases. And managed our website and sent out a newsletter letting the local ag producers in our state know what was coming up program-wise and when to apply for it. I worked on photos and stories about producers in our state who were using our practices so that they could be someone that their peers could reach out to learn the benefits.
So networking
of our programs. I was also right in the middle of developing a booklet about our top 15 conservation practices that we use in our state. Each one of those had a photo and listed what it was and its benefits to our resources and what the farmer needed to do in advance to be ready to apply and what technical considerations they needed to make and how to maintain it. And the cool thing was that this was something we could hand out at events, but we could also hand it out at our local field offices. And it gave enough information to the farmers that the field staff didn't have to spend as much time doing that, explaining those things, and they could use their time to spend more time in the field, giving technical advice, writing applications, writing contracts, and helping the farm.
There they go again, writing those contracts. And again, as a small farmer, I will reiterate that those contracts mainly benefit large farms. If you go do any research and dig into how much money was given to farms across America during the C, you're going to see that millions went to corporate farms and barely anything went to small farms. Even though, and I every time I give this speech at the LSU Homestead Convention, I tell people this: homesteading and farmsteading is the future of America. Small farms under 20 acres is what's going to save America from starvation. Now, all these programs that the USDA works with, they're so hard to fill the paperwork out that large farms actually pay an employee to fill out the paperwork for them or an attorney to fill out the paperwork. It's almost impossible to get help from the USDA NRCS if you have less than 200 or 300 acres. I don't feel sorry for them. I think that their jobs were bogus. Then you have these people.
I'm the Prescott writer. I'm here to say I stand with our federal workers who have been let go or forced into these inhumane retirement packages so that they can get rid of them. Are they getting rid of them because they're getting rid of government waste? No. It's the way they're going to pay to give billionaires these enormous, obscene tax breaks. These are people, federal workers, who have given their lives to our country, who have expertise and experience that's a huge loss. The brain drain alone is staggering. And here they are. They have families that depend on them. They have health care that their kids are not going to have, and they've lost their jobs. This is inhumane.
Inhumane, folks. It's inhumane to lay people off when a business is going bankrupt. It's inhumane. So let me get this straight. This is how liberals think. North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, your entire town is what your towns are washed off mountains. You lost everything. You're living in a tent. Your Democrat president at the time gave you $700 and told you, suck it up. Make sure you pay your taxes, and you guys voted for Trump. This is what you deserve. Fast forward 5 months, Republican president, right, slashing all these federal programs so that America doesn't go bankrupt. And what do the liberals do? Cry because they were given an inhumane buyout. Come on. Come on, you guys. It's absolutely insane.
A senior level federal employee and hiring manager who accepted the deferred resignation. I had a feeling that even though the timeline was extended, as soon as the judge lifted the block, it would be cut off immediately. And that's exactly what happened. So for those of you who were on the fence, you lost your window of opportunity. Now we're finding out that last night there was a mandate sent out to release all probationary employees that affects about 200,000 employees. These jobs
may go away, but the requirement for these job functions will not. And so what these government agencies are going to do, and I've already been told, is to seek contractor support in order to still complete these functions. What does that mean? If you are a federal employee who is affected or is set to be affected, get your resume ready and get information out there to notify these defense contractors that you are available, you're ready, and you come with the skill set and the knowledge that they're going to need in order to bid on these.
Skill set. What a lot of them are not talking about was they were hired under the DEI. So what you're going to see is a ton of women and a lot of others complaining about their jobs. See, because they can't get a job anywhere else, folks. They don't have the skill set.
I don't know. Feeling angry. Very angry.
Well, I felt angry this morning too. Frustrated too.
It sucks.
It does.
I worked in the IRS, small business, self-employed. And now there's going to be a lot of people on unemployment.
Must be nice to be able to apply for unemployment. I woke up, no income, still going at it. That's how you survive, folks.
All the people that are losing their jobs in the federal government, there are going to be so many more implications than just them losing their jobs.
Is there?
And that's enough.
Really?
I mean, I live in the Washington, D.C. area.
Do you?
And I know a lot of people that it's affecting, and it's just so sad.
It is?
And I know other areas of the country that have a lot of federal workers concentrated in those areas are going to have the same thing. But what maybe people aren't thinking about yet is that areas that have a lot of federal workers, their economies in that area are going to be affected. Meaning those people that have lost their jobs, they're not going to be able to pay their mortgages. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. They're not going to be able to pay their credit card bills. You know, if their kids go to private school, they're not going to be able to pay that either.
Something I just love about these liberals is the hypocrisy of let's not take apart the Department of Education where all the poor kids go to school, but let's admit that all these federal employees had their babies in private education. You just heard her. They're not going to be able to pay their private school tuition. And have you ever noticed the liberals' mouths? They have like oral fixation. That's what you call that. It is part of a mental disability and a mental illness, but their mouths, if you watch them, they're always like, and they do these really weird things with their mouth, and it's off-putting. I'm sorry, Randall. I can't help it, Gina. You guys know how I am. I'm not making fun of them, but all of them do it. And they eat while they're talking because their mama didn't teach them that it's rude to speak with food in their mouth. The serpent seed, right? And I agree, CP. I am also sorry that people are losing their jobs. I was sorry to wake up and realize my income had stopped this morning, but I still went to work. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm still here bringing the news. So these people that are so important to the United States, like maybe pull your bootstraps on and like nobody cared when people were losing their jobs because they refused to put an exploratory, you know what, in their arm when there was a 90%, like you were 90%, 99% chance that you were not going to from it. They didn't care about that. They laughed about that. They said, good. It's the unvaccinated. It's the unvaccinated. And now we're like, the inflation is too high. Why is the inflation so high? Why are costs going up? Because inflation is caused when the government starts printing money and spending more than it has. It causes inflation. There are too many federal jobs. There are less than 400 million Americans, yet there are over 3 million federal jobs. It's too much.
If I have to be just bluntly honest, the way the federal workers are losing their jobs seems like a hostile takeover.
Does it?
They got that fork in the road letter from OPM, like got it at night when they were at home, probably not even checking their emails. There was an offer for a buyout or resignation with very few days to think about it. Most people are saying, oh, he's cutting waste from the government. But if that were the case, each person's job would have been evaluated. Their performance would have been evaluated in some cases. They'd have been put on a performance improvement plan. And there are usually conversations about how to improve. But none of this happened. People were eliminated from their jobs without even a plan for restructuring the departments or putting other people.
Don't you love the way that they just assume that in a situation that America's in, that we should allow all these probationary people who are being fired because their performance reports are really bad from what I'm hearing. And their job is pointless. So let's get this straight. Probationary periods last 1 to 2 years for the federal government. So all these people were hired under Biden and Harris. Fast forward, and Trump's like, DOGE is like, we don't need these people. These positions were never here until the last year or two. Do y'all understand what I'm trying to tell you? The positions that all these probationary people held were not actual positions 1 to 2 years ago. These are new positions. These are not positions that have always been part of the federal government. This is what happens when you just hire a bunch of people because you want to please people and you want to grow the government like a friggin' tentacle. Now, please make sure you hit the like button, that you drop over in comments. Tell me who you are. All right, so let's keep going because it does get really interesting.
5:55 p.m. on February 13th, I received an email notifying me of my termination from my federal civil service position. The next morning, I was instructed to complete termination paperwork and return my government equipment. As a disabled United States Army veteran, I devoted 6 years of my life to serving our country during 2 wars, volunteering my mind, body, and soul for the American people. Throughout my 17-year tenure in civil service, primarily with United States Army Recruiting Command, I focused on creating advertising products to facilitate Army recruitment efforts. Most recently, I served with the United States Department of Agriculture, specializing in visual products for amber waves, daily charts of note, which the president has tweeted before, data visualization, and data products. At the same time, I have been managing life as a single father, helping my daughter through college and caring for my son with epilepsy. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management terminated me based on my performance. I have never had a bad performance. On top of that, they locked all access to my performance reports, which gave me no grounds to stand on. The sudden nature of my dismissal left me without severance pay, a 2-week notice, clarification on what benefits I get to keep or have. I don't even know if I have health insurance. An administrative error originated from HR placed me on the wrong type of probation, despite my status as a tenured government employee.
Okay, so in his situation, I understand the confusion. But as soon as Trump took office, he literally said, we are going to reduce the size of the federal government. So all these people knew, guys, don't for 1 minute think that they weren't all at work or on Zooms talking about whether or not their job was going to be cut. They've been talking about it since the inauguration. They knew it was coming. Now, do I think that every person in the federal employee database that has been cut didn't have a degree and wasn't qualified? No. I am without a doubt positive some decent people have lost their jobs. In fact, I'm willing to say that both Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals have lost their jobs due to this. I know they have. I'm all over social media listening to people. Now, yeah, I totally agree. Azami Yield, she said, Charlie asked Sam, how can we help you? Try to be remonetized. Friend, I wish there was a way, but there is not. They're not going to listen to you guys. So what you can do is when a commercial pops up, as soon as it lets you fast forward it. Don't watch 1 second past what they force you to watch, because they're going to play as many commercials as they can and keep all that money that should have went to me will go in YouTube's pocket. This is how they roll. They do this every couple of months. They knock all the content creators off so they can make billions while we scrimp and save and you guys try to help support us. Yeah, it's just a game that YouTube plays. I've already appealed it this morning. I'm praying that I'll be back on by this evening. If not, I cannot reapply until the middle of May. Yeah. Y'all heard me.
Fired via phone call. Me, I was a forestry technician for the USDA Forest Service, and my crew dealt with timber sales and management. So think salvage sales, wildfire mitigation, American lumber product, forest and ecosystem health. So I was still in my probationary period, and I was 3 months away from getting my 1 year. I have put 5 years of my career into public service and natural resources. And this is how we are getting treated right now. Now, my supervisor can't answer any of my questions, like what's going to happen to my last paycheck because they're going to log us out and we won't be able to put in our time. What's going to happen to my health insurance? Am I going to get my separation form, my final one? Because I need that paperwork to apply for unemployment. And these are not merit-based firings. All of my...
Must be really nice to go jump right on unemployment after having a federal cush job. Now, here's my point. You heard what she said. We put in our time. This is part of what is happening and why DOGE is having to cut so many employees. They put in their time. When have you ever worked a job that allows you to put your time in and nobody double checks you? Anybody? And yeah, guys, I'm not going to go to Rumble. It takes 24 hours to upload a video and I hate it. I hate the platform. They should put some more money into it if they want it to grow, because it's really not a great platform.
I'm just going to go on the record preemptively and apologize to the 20,000 plus federal workers who accepted the buyout offers from Donald Trump and Elon Musk. People who, in exchange for full pay and benefits through September, have resigned their positions within the government. Because here's the deal, you're never going to see a dime of that money. I understand why you'd take the offer if it was a good faith offer and something that you could be confident would actually occur. I'd probably consider it too in your position.
So this guy is telling all the 2,000 federal employees that took the buyout that it's all a lie, that Donald Trump is not going to pay them, and that they just signed off for nothing. That's the kind of nonsense that's all over social media right now. Watch this one. This is a sob story. Returning my federal government equipment after my resignation. Time for a fresh start.
I know there are many people who do not know what is actually happening
we know.
To federal employees right now under this administration.
Really?
I thought it would be important to share what a friend of mine shared about what is actually on the ground happening in real time. So listen to this. I'm going to read it. Thousands of feds have been illegally fired, not poor performers. The people who have been terminated are those who have been recently promoted, hired at a new agency, or joined the civil service. When you change positions, like you get a promotion or switch to a different office, you have a probation period of 1 to 2 years. Even during that time, you are not an at-will employee, and there are laws around reasons you can be fired during probation. Newsflash, nothing about what they are doing is following any of those laws, and they are lying about terminating for poor performance. People are suing with their recent performance reviews as proof. And here's where it gets scary. People are terrified. They are getting emails at night that they are not to report to work the next day. Some just lose access when they sign on in the morning. Some are told via phone or as a group, not because of anything they did, not in any sort of professional manner. A Zoom call with 40 people, all let go by an official hiding with his camera off. I know there are many.
So, again, let me reiterate. None of these positions, or the majority of these positions, were here a year or two ago. Guys, the federal government is so inefficient. You have dead people on Social Security. You have illegal aliens getting their passports for the United States. You have money that can't be found in every single agency. Yet, you have more employees for the federal government than any one industry right now in America. So, again, it has to be done. Our country is bankrupt. Something else I'm seeing that is pervasive through all these federal employees is they're talking about how bad they're in debt. Now, you had the least expensive, best insurance possible. You had the best 401k and retirement plans available, and you made extremely good money. Yet you're that far in debt. I have to make hard choices every day about where I'm going to spend the money that I have because I don't have credit cards and I don't want to be in debt. I have a heart for these people. I really do. Both my sons serve in the military. You guys know that. One of them is going overseas in 1 month. Yet both of my sons have money taken out of their paycheck every month to pay for the military to feed them. When they're on active duty, they're forced to be there. When they are being sent overseas, they're forced to be there. My youngest son is forced on a base right now until he finishes his advanced technical training. Yet they take money out of his measly pay every month to feed him. That's okay to do. That's okay to do, to take money out of our military's pocket to feed them when they're overseas or defending our country. But it's not okay to force federal employees to come into work. I'm just saying, you guys, this is what's wrong with our country.
The weekend, the USDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, accidentally fired several agency employees working on the federal government response to the bird flu outbreak. The USDA spokesperson said that they are working swiftly to rectify the situation and rescind all the termination letters. The Trump administration also fired 1,165 workers from the NIH,
Thank God,
which is the National Institutes of Health, along with employees from the FDA. Now, this firing of employees, they're just firing everyone without knowing what their jobs entail, what they do, and how important their jobs are. So now we have another part of the government that is scrambling to rehire people that were randomly fired. And this is what happens, folks.
Now, no doubt there's a lot of confusion going on. All right. Thank you, Rainbow Dreamer. No doubt there's a lot of confusion going on. No doubt accidental firings are happening. And people are being let go that really do have very important jobs. It will be worked out. It will be worked out. But folks, if we don't reduce the amount of money going out from America, we're going to be gone. I didn't vote for Donald Trump for the price of eggs. I know a lot of liberals like to ask that. They're caught up on this egg thing. And I don't understand why, because I have my own chickens. I haven't bought eggs in over 4 years. I don't even know what the price of eggs are, nor do I actually care. What I do care about is that my government run efficiently. And you can almost call me a libertarian in the fact that I believe that government should be smaller. I do not think there should be this many federal employees all over this country. I think every employee that works for the federal government should have to turn in something that says, what do you do? And how is that going to make Americans have a better life? I'm so sorry, Paul. So sorry that happened to you, friend.
Elon Musk is wanting to spread bird flu. How's that for a hook? All right. So I try my hardest to stay up to date with current events, and I don't do as well as I should. And a lot of times I'm a day or two behind because, well, I don't look at things every day like I should. So for those of you that are unaware, there's a new department called DOGE, and it's headed by the tech billionaire Elon Musk. Side note, I was a huge fan of Musk until he bought his way into our government.
Really?
That's a side note, whatever. Okay, so DOGE, what are they doing, right? Government efficiency. Well, if you're unaware, there's a day now being called as the Valentine's Day Massacre, and there was thousands upon thousands of federal employees that were laid off from their positions. Some of the people that got laid off were the people that were researching and looking into the spread of the bird flu, right? So I'm not extremely educated in the bird flu, but the way I understand it is it's more prominent in dairy cattle. And what we're worried about is because it can be transmitted from cattle to people, that's what we're worried about. It's very rare, and it's more prominent in the dairy. Why? Well, dairy cows get milked once or twice a day, so you're getting them up and you're handling these cattle multiple times a day, very close proximity, very close contact. The cattle are close together. Look up a freestall barn, look up a dairy barn. So beef cattle, it can happen. There are very rare cases of it happening. Like these girls, for example, they're in close proximity to each other, but it's for a very short time. And then they get kicked out where they have more room, and, disease just doesn't spread as quick. And I'm not like, this is as close as I get to them on a normal day is right here. I'm not very close to them. So that's why the concern is a lot less in beef cattle. But yeah, so we accidentally fired a bunch of people that were looking into this, and now we're frantically trying to scramble and hire them back. And I don't know. Everyone's like, the whole point is like, oh, less government, which whatever. I don't much care for the government either. But it's almost like they were there for a reason. And I don't know. Besides those individuals getting fired, a whole bunch of NRCS people got fired. A bunch of people from the USDA got fired. And as a whole, USDA, the farm bill, 2/3 of it goes towards food stamps. That's the short answer. But there is a large portion of it that is directly related to what we all do. And it's kind of interesting to see those things.
He's correct. So the USDA funds food stamps and free and reduced lunches in public schools. So when you see a farm bill, the majority of it, like 75% of the billions of dollars that go into the farm bill are to pay for EBT, SNAP, WIC, senior vouchers, and then free and reduced lunches for children across America. It's got nothing to do for us farmers. It's not helping the actual reason it was created. This is why DOGE is so important. People don't understand. You have government facilities and departments that do nothing that they were actually put there to do. What does the Department of Education actually do? Can anybody tell me? What is its actual function? Because the USDA covers free and reduced lunches. HHS covers everything for kids who are ADHD and on disability and all this other stuff. Special ed kids go through HHS. Mental issues, HHS. So what does the DOE do? What is their purpose? When you really start to understand what the USDA does, what the government departments actually do and how they spend your money, you start to get a little irritated. America didn't have all of this 30 and 40 years ago. Go back 60 years and there might have been 7 or 8 government departments. Now there's like 400. As for the bird flu, since I'm not getting paid and I don't have to worry about them demonetizing this video, I don't believe it's a real thing. I think it is another COVID. I believe it was created in a lab. And so what are you paying these scientists to figure out? It's all a joke. They're trying to make it really bad, but do we need thousands of scientists and employees researching bird flu? There's been 2 deaths, one in Canada and one in the US. 2 people have died, and that okays thousands of employees. Yeah, Paul, you should really look into Mississippi and Louisiana and rural Arkansas for land.
Hey guys, Dr. John here. Just thought I'd update you on what's going on in the government right now. 25% of the workforce for the USDA National Animal Health Laboratory Network scientists have been let go. So disease monitoring is probably going to be minimal. We're not going to have the same kind of updates that you'd expect. And that's just the USDA. I know they've had a bunch of people let go at the CDC. I have a friend who works in disease research for the government, and his job was thankfully saved because it was deemed essential, but all the other teams around him were let go. So disease surveillance, monitoring, tracking, some of the people who were let go were following avian influenza and doing avian influenza research. So they were monitoring how mutations were happening. So I guess we're not going to be monitoring and researching new and emerging diseases and tracking them as we used to. Kind of crazy. We have measles outbreak in Texas.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis in multiple states.
Yep.
Monkeypox or mpox in Florida.
And where's all that coming from, doctor?
Tell me that they had a case in Jacksonville. So not just in Miami and Miami-Dade County.
There goes that mouth.
South Florida. But this is something that it's spread by, you could sneeze on somebody. It can be any fluids, not just blood, but any fluids in the body. So this, some highly contagious stuff. And of course, the big worry is the impending avian influenza. If it stays in birds and doesn't become contagious between humans, if it does start becoming contagious between humans, it would be good to know and be able to monitor that and know what the difference.
Okay, so we've got monkeypox, we've got measles, we have bird flu. I had the mumps and I was vaccinated for it. So let me explain something to you guys. We let into our country 30 million illegal, undocumented people with no history, no identification, and no idea if they were healthy or not. Did we expect it to go any other way? Because, yes, somebody said, I thought farmers did their own, biosecurity. We do. So I have chickens in 2 coops separated on my 2 acres. I did that for a reason. If one coop goes down due to disease or illness, my second coop an acre away will be just fine. Okay, that's called prudent. I do that with my rabbits too. I have rabbits in the front and rabbits in the back. I keep them separate. All right. So that's called biosecurity. I do not allow any animal on my property, not from a cat to a dog to a rabbit to a chicken, that does not do 30 days mandatory quarantine away from the rest of the animals. I don't overburden my property with more animals than it's able to feed. So if you own a farm or a hobby farm or a homestead, and you've got, say, 5 acres, but you've got 400 animals on that 5 acres, you can't support that amount of animals on that amount of land. You can't. You're going to increase your parasites. You're going to increase disease. You're going to overburden the soil with manure and urine and bodily waste. All right. So if you have small acreage, you have to have small livestock. I see this all the time. People have disease outbreaks on their property because they're allowing animals to be together that shouldn't be, and they're not rotating the animals around their property like they should. I have a rule of thumb. If you can't grow the feed to feed all of those animals on your property, you've got too many animals on that property. Now, if you live by that rule of thumb and all of a sudden a feed store is not available to you anymore, you can save the animals on your property by growing enough food to feed them. Just because you love animals and you want some does not mean it's prudent or humane to get every animal you see and then let them live coexisting on property that's not big enough for them. That's my biggest issue with people that want to homestead. You've got too many animals and your property's not big enough to withstand it. But because that's what you want, you don't give a crap. So make sure you're hitting that like button and that you're subscribed. All right, guys, I need to run. I've got some things to do. Stephen is still caring for my father-in-law who is at an end of life. You know, it does happen. Our parents do grow older, and I love him for it. If you would like to support our channel, I will drop it in comments how to do that. Even $1 would be grateful. I lost my job overnight, and guess what? Nobody offered me an 8-month buyout. Nobody. Sam got an email. The dreaded overnight email. Guess what, federal employees? You're not the only people who lose their jobs unexpectedly and still have to find a way to pay their bills. Real talk. It does happen to the best of us. I love you guys so much. Thank you for always being here and rowing in our boat for truth, because this world is full of people that live in a bubble and their bubble's fixing to pop. And when it does, they're going to have mental crises. And it's going to be up to you and I to reassure them that as long as they trust in God and get up and keep going, they'll be perfectly okay. Oh, thank you, Kristen. I love you guys so much. The support that y'all show us is more than I would have ever asked for or expected. And I love y'all for it. You know, I really do. Yes, we're in a huge shift. We are in a huge shift. What you're seeing is the upper and lower streams that are talked about in the Bible converging. What does that mean? It means the physical with the supernatural are converging. Satan is furious. He is prowling. He's looking around to kill, steal, and destroy everything and anybody he can come across. So it's not unexpected. I mean, I woke up and I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? My content is harmful. I talk about Jesus. I tell people the truth about stuff. I don't curse. I'm not on here showing my body parts, you know, and they demonetized me. So it is just part of it, folks. Your job is not your source. It's not. Every one of you understand that. Your Social Security check could stop at any time. The federal government's broke. Your food stamps could be taken anytime. The federal government is broke. Understand. It doesn't matter if you go to work every single day. Your job is hanging in the balance of somebody saying our company doesn't make enough money. Exactly. We are all one paycheck away from being jobless. Understand that. If God is not your source, you're not going to make it for what's coming, folks. I'm really, really serious. I really am. I really am. Yes, Benjamin, 2 people died. So they butchered 100 million chickens. That's how liberals think. That's how they behave. That is why our country is in the shape it is. That's why Trump got in office. So when you see people say they regret their vote or that we're going to push people back to the Democrat Party with all these layoffs, ignore it. This has to happen. And then to see Democrats get on TV, that Crockett lady, and say, well, I don't know what $5,000 would do for you. I could tell you what $5,000 could do for me. And I'm sure most of you feel the same way. It could pay my federal taxes I'm going to owe. Mm-hmm. It could help me go to Florida and pack up my son's entire apartment and then drive it back to Louisiana, miss a week of work so that that baby can go serve his country for a year overseas. $5,000 would pay for that whole trip. Thank you, Donald. It would add a fireplace to his home so that he's secure in the fact that he's got heat in the winter. So when you hear Democrats, it's really the liberals that say that kind of nonsense. Our government's not in the act of handing out money. Really? Really? Because you are. You just don't want to hand it out to the people that put it in. So I love you guys so very much. Stay safe. Be blessed. Keep your head on a swivel. And for the love of God, do not watch MSNBC. I love you guys so right, Miss Patsy. I could finish my chicken pen. All right, so let's do this. Dear Heavenly Father, right now, we, your children, come together and we demand that Satan return our money to us, Father. Right now, we plead the blood of Jesus over all of our finances. Lord, we know that you're our source. You are the provider. You are El Shaddai. You are more than enough. And we know exactly the playbook of the enemy, Lord. It is to kill, steal, and destroy. And Lord, we laugh in his face because he cannot stop. He cannot stop what you have for us. So we call back the money our government stole from us. We call back the money YouTube stole from us. We call back the money that has been stolen from every evil, nasty minion ever in our entire life. We call it in right now. In the name of Jesus, amen. All right, guys. Love you. Be blessed. Be expecting God to bring your money back.